Welcome to another episode of Fuck Your Job. I'm Ron Worley.
And I'm Josh Fullenweider.
Fuck your job.
Hey, Jobless Legion. This week we've got the second part of our interview with Shannon Hawley of Hope for Tomorrow. There's a lot of great lessons about business that you can learn from this episode. Even though it's a nonprofit, a lot of the principles are the same. But if you haven't listened to the first episode with Shannon, you've got to go back and listen to it. It's just absolutely incredible everything he went with. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoy.
Folks, we're back here with Shannon Hawley today. If you guys remember last week, came on and blew our doors off, man. In fact, we were both quite speechless at his story. And to know where he's come from, where he's at now, it's just a phenomenal story. But you guys needed to hear the second half. Really, the whole point we brought him on for was to hear his story and then tell us what he's doing now and how come he chose a nonprofit. By the way, I'm here with Josh Fullenweider. Josh, say hi.
I'm here.
I didn't mean to consume that whole.
No, that's all
right. But you know what? We brought Shannon back because it's really important that we understand why he's doing a nonprofit, what the organization maybe not so much means to him now, because I think we got that the last time, but more about how the hell do you do it and why did you do it? Because it's a pretty tough gig, man.
I started reaching out to the local churches and a lot of people got on board with it. And then I just started realizing in my head, the more I talked to people, that it wasn't just a church responsibility, that it's a community responsibility, that we all come together, you know, as brothers and sisters and neighbors, as churches and business owners, that we all come together and show our community and the people in it who are hurting that we love them and that there is hope for tomorrow. And so I started reaching out to more, kind of widen it out, you know, instead of just churches and reaching out to churches, I started reaching out to businesses and friends and really it was just a plan for an event. I never at the time did I even intend on starting a nonprofit. I didn't know nothing really even about them. I just knew that I wanted to have this big event to bring awareness and as the more people I contacted and the more people I spoke with and the more I prayed, the more that this became more than just an event. And so I remember I was praying and trying to come up with all kinds of names for this event. And it didn't have the name yet. And I was laying in bed just restless, trying to think of all these different names to just get the message across and really stand out to people. And the one that kept standing out the most was Hope for Tomorrow. And so as I was talking with people, I was like, you know, we're going to have this event called Hope for Tomorrow. And, you know, I think it's really important that people who are feeling like there's no hope or like this is it, you know, that they realize and understand that people love them and there's hope for tomorrow. So we're going to do this. And again, the further I got into it, the more it came more than just an event. The community really started coming together. And I got a good friend named Joe Hunt. He's out of Denver. And Dennis Avila, he's out of Denver as well. Or Joe's out of Brighton and Dennis is out of Denver. And I reached out to them right away. They do a lot of community outreach in their communities. And so I really looked up to the way they organize stuff in their community to just bring people together. And so I reached out to them. And Joe told me, he said, hey, brother, I need you to understand if you're going to do this, that's great. It's great that you're going to do this. I agree with you 100%. But you can't go in and bring a message of hope and then leave. You have to do something to stimulate that or you know, just be around it and keep it that hope up, because otherwise all it is it's something that comes and goes. And his words, you know, they really stuck with me, and I started praying on that as well. And I was like, all right, you know, I talked to him and I started talking to these guys, and I was like, what's my next step in going into a nonprofit? I really believe in this, you know. I really want to help. I really want to I really want to make amends with my community for all the damage that I caused in the past. I really want to be a role model and leader to my family and to my neighbors and to my friends. And I really want to show the people who grew up the same way that I did that we're not stuck. And so they guided me through it. And that brought up the next task was like, okay, well, there went the name of the event. It just became a nonprofit.
Right.
So now I have to think of a logo, and I got to think of a name of an event. And so I'm trying to think of a logo. And if you look at my logo, it's a picture of a shadow, and it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
shadow holding a little boy, and there's a cross in the shadows. So I got out to the job site, and it was a temporary site out in the middle of nowhere, and there was no buildings around. The only thing, there was nobody else out there. I was outside. It was the sun was barely starting to come up, clear out to the east, you know, and there was a utility light that you crank up, you see up that puts
Yep.
light on construction sites and everything. Well, that was up, and I was standing in front of that light, and I was calling out to God again. I was just like, God, I can't do this, man. And I started complaining about everything, and I've got my head down, and you know, tears coming from my eyes, and I'm looking at my own shadow, and that's coming from the light that's from that utility light. And I heard God just bring a peace. I felt him bring a peaceness over my heart, and I heard him in my heart, and I heard him say, as I was looking at my shadow, he said, you know, Shannon, don't get so caught up on the little shadows in life that you overlook all the light that surrounds you. And I looked at my shadow, and I seen all the light that was around me from that utility light, and I started thinking, you know what? I do have to turn my money in, but I'm going to get that back when I go on non-res. You know, I only get to see my kids for a couple weeks, or a couple times a week, I mean, or once a week or whatever it was. But I get to see them. I got to hold them. You know, I went out and tried to get the Greeley Police Department to shoot me. I went out and with the intentions for them to kill me, and I survived. I not only went out in a threatening manner and said threatening things, and had a threatening background, but that I was blessed to get hit with a non-lethal round. I got blessed with another chance at life. I was looking at 32 years in prison, 32 years in prison, where I would have never seen the kids again except for through visits. And I beat all that stuff in trial except for the smaller stuff and got a 7-year correction. I asked the judge, I said, please, Your Honor, I don't like getting in trouble. I don't like being in trouble. And if you give me an opportunity, I promise you I'll make a difference. I will change it around, and you will not be sorry for this. I take full accountability for all my actions that have led me to this point. And he gave me that opportunity to do that, and I'm doing that. And so that shadow, and that shadow and hearing that changed my outlook of everything. And I just started moving forward with life. You know what? So what if she's in love with someone else? Maybe she's just not the one. You know, it's time to move on. I got my babies, I got my life, I got my job, I got my future. And so that was part of the logo. And if you look at my logo, it's me. The shadow's actually me holding my son, Peyton. I got him in it because if I would have died by suicide in 2013, he would have never been born. I love my son. I love both my sons.
You started off one event that grew to be a bigger, more than you had thought it would be, and now it's a nonprofit. What is Hope for Tomorrow doing now? Are you still doing events? Are you just reaching out and making community connections? So what all are you doing?
Yeah, so we reach out and we make those community connections. We're still doing events. The events they're rather big. You know, we get 2,000 to 3,000 people who attend. We do a car show, live music, testimonies from people who've experienced suicide thoughts and attempts and changed, or people who've lost people to suicide. We bring in many resources from throughout the community to set up resource booths and to be able to hand out information so that the people can have information on what to look for, who they could talk to, different organizations they can go to. We work alongside with the Jobs of Hope program.
Are you doing all this yourself, or you got some people helping you, or how's it working right now?
Yeah, so in the beginning, when I started, I always said we, because it was me and God. But it got overwhelming. You know, that event was a huge thing to try to pull off, you know, by myself. So I actually started a team, and I got an amazing team, you know. And that again, I went back to God too. I always go to Him with everything, and I prayed for it, and I have an amazing team of people that work with me, and we all do this volunteer. You know, this is something that we all believe in our community.
What kind of events are you planning on having in the future? Are you doing any um, virtual events? That's kind of the thing now is since everybody's on computers and not going out. So what's going on
Right.
now?
So we got an actual. I worked with the OGT Entertainment, awesome guys, man. They came up with a great plan to do a PSA announcement about people staying indoors and just doing their part in the community to help stop the spread of this. So that'll be coming out on Facebook today.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
I'm shooting more commercials in the future, public service announcement commercials. We've done a couple of those already that have come out really good. Music video or music songs that come out that we've worked with people that have come out. We were planning on our third annual Celebration of Life event in August of this year, but it's not likely going to happen. But I haven't put a cancel on it yet because you never, we got a powerful God. We could wake up tomorrow and this will be gone.
Right.
Who knows what's going to happen with it? But the closer we get to it, the more it looks like it probably won't be happening. But if that's the case, then it'll come down to being out trying to raise money from the community so we can start planning for next year.
Okay.
And then again, we do work alongside, like I said, with the Jobs of Hope program. We got the roundtables going on. I got another team member that's supposed to be getting in with the restorative justice and helping out with youth. And so we're doing anything we can to get into all these other organizations who are already doing great things and help assist them in what they're doing.
That's amazing.
So yeah, man, you got a lot of purpose involved with what you're doing, man. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So your whole story has been about why you're doing this. I'm wondering, how do you get from the why to first day? Do you need to raise money first? Do you need to the idea? How did you get from why to okay, I'm helping somebody?
Yeah.
I remember you also told me that you piggybacked off of your buddy's 501c3 for a while. How difficult was that to get?
So the 501c3, if it would have been super difficult if I would have done it myself. Because but the great thing is that I piggybacked off my buddy's off of his 501c3 of what he's doing, and we just added Hope for Tomorrow in with his organization as a type of an event thing. And once we did that, it's any money we raise goes to the event as a community service. And so the events that we have, they're free to the community, and we get all kinds of volunteers to come in. The only thing that we charge for is the car show entrance that come in, and depending on how many cars show up, is the money that's made from that. Otherwise, everything is totally free because the message is more important than anything. And so any money that we raise from the community as sponsors goes into that event, and then any money that we make from that event, from the car show, goes back in, depending on how much is made. First off, will go back into Hope for Tomorrow, which is how I was able to hire an accountant to get the 501c3 and make everything legitimate. And then to go back into training for myself and my team, so that as we're helping people, it's easy to help somebody and say the wrong things and be damaging. And so in this kind of a situation, it's important that we get the proper training that's needed to do this correctly. And then any extra money that we have that we've had over the year that doesn't go over the last 2 years that haven't went back into Hope for Tomorrow growing as a nonprofit, we've donated to other organizations like we've donated to North Range, to the SES program, the Suicide Education program, and we've donated to the AJ Black Foundation. We've got to help out several families who in the years have actually lost family members to the suicide and everything, and be able to help them drop them $400 or $500 so that they can help with expenses while they're missing out in a month of loss of, or whatever it is, just to help comfort them financially as they're dealing with the stress of something else.
Right.
And the important thing that I do got to mention that I haven't mentioned is with these events, I got a co-host, and that's the Boulevard Bullies Car Club. And
Oh, yeah.
and they're an amazing car club. Their heart, I couldn't imagine having a better co-host than them. Those car shows are so successful because of the hard work that they put in. I mean, I don't know if Ron, you've been to one of them.
Yep.
But the work that goes into one of those shows, there is no way that I could do that. I mean, these guys they're professionals, and they have a heart to want to help our community as well. We all grow up the same way.
Yeah, man, it was
Yeah.
really badass show, and I was really impressed. Knowing you for all these years, I was impressed with you, and I was impressed with the car show. I thought, possibly that I wouldn't be entertained by a car show, but it was the coolest thing, Josh. You go in there, and like the cars that are in there are phenomenal. But what I really enjoyed was I was able to get up on stage. There was no judgment in that building, not one. And there were some pretty harsh dudes in there, a few guys that, one of those guys that scares the shit out of you just by looking at you, but all heart. So it was cool, man. What I think you mentioned it, Hawley, Shannon, you said you hired professionals, and I think that's very important in anything you do, to be sure and hire the right people to do the job for you. So nobody, I think it's important that you did that to get things set up. You did it right. I mean,
Yeah.
I always hire. Josh does everything himself because he's fucking smart,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm always impressed when I hear
The awesome thing about all the professionals, like the bullies and everybody who comes in and sets up their booths and everything is everybody's volunteers. They all come in. They don't charge.
Right.
The people who come and perform the music, we're really the music we choose is we're really particular about the music. We even had KS 107.5 show up. Stax showed up, man, and he wants to be with us in the future. He was really impressed by it. But I again, and I can't say this enough, and I probably haven't even said it, so I need to. Is I couldn't do all of that without my co-host, the Bullies, and especially without the amazing team that I got. Any of the stuff that I'm doing right now, being out and helping the other organizations, Hope for Tomorrow, what it is today compared to what it was when it first started, wouldn't be what it is without the amazing team that was fortunate enough to put together and wanted to be a part about it. So they deserve so much credit, and just amazing people.
Bro,
Yeah.
that makes you a great leader, by the way. Good job.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with all the stories about all these partnerships that you really put together. I think that's really interesting how you leveraged other people's organizations in order to put this together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we can't. The crisis that's going on with suicide. Not one organization is going to be able to do it. Not one town's going to be able to do it. It's going to take a community coming together. It's going to take businesses coming together, schools coming together, families coming together. It's all of our responsibility. Suicide is everybody's business.
Yep. Great work, Shannon. We really appreciate you coming on today. Again today.
Yeah.
Josh, sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the same thing. I appreciate you coming on. It's been fascinating hearing your story, both the first time and then the second part of your story this time. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Shannon. And you know what? We'll be there if you do get that event off this year. And if we're still, us and our 25 followers follow us all the way to next year. However, next event, we're there with you. We'll actually do a podcast from your place.
Yeah.
That'd
be
fun.
great.
Yeah.
We'll get all 4 of our people there.
Us and our wives.
Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome. That's
Maybe
awesome.
our kids will go.
I love what you guys are doing, man. I think it's awesome. I'm very grateful that you guys, again, think of me to do all this and to be able to say this.
And everybody, you tune in to this show and get to Hope for Tomorrow event, whether it's online, at the event this year, wherever it is. Talk to Shannon. Shannon, how do we get a hold of you again? Just throw that out there.
Yeah, so We have a web page. It's h42m.org, and you can find out anything that we're doing in the community. We try to keep that updated as much as possible. Sometimes we fall behind. You can also find us on any social media platform under the Hope for Tomorrow. And then, I encourage people that if you're going through a crisis and really feeling down, you absolutely feel you need to talk to somebody, to reach out to the North Range, to reach out to the suicide prevention hotline number, to reach out to a neighbor. But I'm also here to help and to listen. But I do have to remind everybody that I am not a trained professional like some of the other people out there are. But I can offer a listening ear and maybe direct you in the right direction. And that phone number is 970-815-2366.
That's
Thank you
huge,
so much,
man.
Shannon.
Yeah, thank you so much. And let me tell them real quick, Josh. We're not telling them to fuck their job this week. We're telling them to fuck suicide, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I could say that, man. Fuck suicide.
Fuck suicide.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for coming on, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. God bless
Thanks,
you guys.
Shannon.
Later.
Join us on Facebook at the Jobless Legion, or subscribe to our YouTube channel and like, comment, and share.
So that we can get the message out to aspiring entrepreneurs just like you.
Thank you.
Fuck your job.